Starting to get some good views now from the International Space Station. We should be able to maintain these views throughout the duration of our pass over Hurricane Dorian. Again, the space station 262 statute miles over the Midwest right now. We are expected to see the hurricane in just about 2 minutes or so from now. Some of the latest status reports of Hurricane Dorian itself can be found at the National Hurricane Center. Head over to hurricanes.gov, that's hurricanes plural, to find out the latest updates on the hurricane. The latest ones we are tracking now are from 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. At that time, the National Hurricane Center reported Hurricane Dorian as a Category 2, maxing out at wind speeds of about 110 miles per hour. This is just shy of a Category 3 hurricane. Again, the hurricane itself 255 miles east of the Bahamas now. Hurricane itself traveling at about 10 miles per hour, pretty slow, but on a northwestern track to make landfall with the United States, specifically the coast of Florida, as predictions show now. That landfall expected sometime over the evening of Monday night, Labor Day, into the early morning of Tuesday. Again, these reports from 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. Predictions now expect Hurricane Dorian to become a major hurricane later today, and will expect it to become very dangerous throughout this weekend. Again, landfall right now is predicted to be late on Labor Day Monday or early Tuesday. It will likely be over Florida as what's now predicted to be a Category 4 hurricane, where winds can max out at about 140 miles per hour. Hurricane force winds are also expected to affect the Bahamas, as well as heavy rains over the Bahamas, Florida, and elsewhere in the southeastern United States this week through the middle of next week. Again, we're coming to you live from the International Space Station. These views from the external high-definition cameras. Space Station itself, 262 statute miles, just about to cross over the southeast United States, over the states of Georgia and Alabama, crossing over the eastern coast of Georgia and heading over the Atlantic Ocean, where we'll be soon seeing Hurricane Dorian. The crew aboard the International Space Station ending their days a bit early, headed for an extended weekend off after supporting the rendezvous of the Soyuz MS-14 and some of the other dynamic operations that have occurred over the last week. Some of those astronauts in free time, some of them exercising. Some of them may be in the cupola, which is the bay window on the Earth-facing side of the International Space Station. From the cupola, they'll have great views of Hurricane Dorian, which seems to be poking into view right now. You can follow these astronauts on Twitter. Drew Morgan, Nick Hague, and Christina Cook may be tweeting pictures over the weekend as they get good passes of Hurricane Dorian. International Space Station 262 statute miles over the east coast of Georgia now, about to pass over the Atlantic Ocean. The space station itself traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. From some of these views, you can see the Bahamas. Again, the Bahamas are expected to be affected by Hurricane Dorian over the weekend. And predictions now estimate a landfall Monday night. Space station now just east over the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Florida. We're seeing some of the eye from some of the high-definition cameras on the outside of the space station, the eye of Dorian. Again, the space station currently tracking west of the storm. Updates from just about an hour and 20 minutes ago from the National Hurricane Center reported Dorian as a Category 2 hurricane. It's expected to increase in force throughout these next few days before it makes landfall. The eye of Dorian very clear from this view. Space Station 261 statute miles just east off the coast of some of the northern islands of the Bahamas. The formation of the eye of the Category 2 Hurricane Dorian becoming very clear.
Moscow, this is Alexander on Space Ground 2. How do you read me? Read you loud and clear, Alexander on Space Ground.
The space station 261 statute miles just east off the coast of some of the central islands of the Bahamas, now passing almost directly over the eye of the Category 2 Dorian hurricane. Again, reports from the National Hurricane Center reported Hurricane Dorian as a Category 2 from 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. Speeds maxing out at about 110 miles an hour. Again, Dorian traveling at a northwest track at about 10 miles per hour. Predictions now put it at landfall over the eastern coast of Florida sometime late Monday, Labor Day night into early Tuesday. International Space Station now passing south over Hurricane Dorian, 261 statute miles right over the Turks and Caicos Islands. Again, from that vantage point of about 261 statute miles from the International Space Station, astronauts on board can see just about 1,000 miles in any given direction. From end to end, about a 2,000-mile spread from that vantage point, 260 miles up. Again, these views are live. The International Space Station, 261 statute miles over the eastern coast of the Dominican Republic right now, traveling 17,500 miles per hour just south of the storm, Hurricane Dorian. Again, the storm itself on a northwest track, traveling right now, reported at 10 Central, 11 Eastern, traveling at a northwest track at 10 miles per hour. That expected to build in terms of intensity and make landfall late Monday night, Labor Day night. National Hurricane Centers report that it might be too soon to determine just how strong this hurricane will get, but predictions put it at about a hurricane, Category 4 hurricane at the time of landfall. Again, these are early predictions and these reports from just about an hour and a half ago. Space station itself continuing on a southeasterly track, just north off the coast of Venezuela, passing west from the island of St. Lucia. Still getting some views of the massive storm that's 255 miles east of the islands of the Bahamas. Again, the cameras themselves being controlled by flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston. Views of the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico coming into view now. Space station itself 261 statute miles on a southeasterly track just south of the coast of Grenada. Space station 261 statute miles right over the northern coast of Venezuela. And starting to lose sight of Hurricane Dorian, that is 255 miles east of the islands of the Bahamas, as the space station itself flies 261 statute miles over central Guyana. Now over the north of South America. These views, again, are coming to you live from the external high-definition cameras of the International Space Station. This pass predicted by some of our flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston. There may be a few more passes this weekend. Those passes will be recorded and put on some of our online accounts. You can follow us on the YouTube channel NASA Video for some of those accounts as we pass over the storm over the weekend. These video files in high definition will be available there, as well as images.nasa.gov and archive.org. Again, the crew of the International Space Station currently either exercising or in free time. They even recently have provided some images from the cupola window, that is the bay window that looks down at the Earth. You can follow some of the astronauts on social media: Drew Morgan, Nick Hague, and Christina Cook. Again, the strength of Hurricane Dorian expected to go up over these next few days and may landfall right now, as predictions are, late Monday night and Labor Day or early Tuesday. Stay tuned on local channels to find out the latest updates throughout the weekend. Again, heavy rains are expected over the weekend, as well as some hurricane force winds. Prepare for the hurricane and plan accordingly, and look for advice given by local emergency officials. Again, we'll be following the hurricane throughout the weekend through files that we put on the websites I mentioned. Again, images.nasa.gov, the YouTube channel, NASA Video, as well as archive.org, and follow our International Space Station accounts and the accounts of our astronauts on board, Drew Morgan, Nick Hague, and Christina Cook. Until then, stay safe this weekend. This is Mission Control Houston.